Joanne Lipman now, CNBC contributor, author of the book, That's What She Said, What Men Need to Know and Women Need to Tell Them About Working Together. Joanne, thank you. The photo of Governor Cuomo and his latest accuser, does that ring familiar for women? And what's the message for all of us?
Yeah. First of all, thanks, Shep, for having me. This is such a familiar scenario, unfortunately. I think every woman can relate to this. And if we pull back, really, what the bigger picture issue here beyond the politics of Cuomo is there's a power imbalance. The bigger picture here is we have a much more heightened awareness of what constitutes bad behavior now than we used to. I mean, in the 3 years since the Me Too movement erupted, we know what the rules of the road are. And it is so infuriating to so many women to see this kind of behavior persist. It's not that hard for men to not hit on women who work for them, to not touch them inappropriately. And there are millions and millions of men out there who are not harassing women. And yet we still see these, particularly men in positions of power, who are using this power. And it's what it's doing is it's really marginalizing the women. And it's leading to what we see here, where we're undervaluing women. When we marginalize them, we don't value them as much. When we don't value them as much, we don't pay them as much or promote them as much or give them the mentoring. And it all feeds into this continued sort of institutional sexism that has really prevented us from making the moves we need to make since the Me Too movement.
It's easy for everybody of right mind to condemn someone like, let's say, Harvey Weinstein, a private businessman. But is it a more difficult, a grayer area in matters of politics in our tribal world where accusations fly willy-nilly? I don't want to diminish any accusations of anyone ever, but I am asking you if there is a bit of a difference in how we navigate it.
Obviously, there's a lot of politics at play in here. He's got enemies on both sides of the aisle. But I actually want to take it back from that because honestly, the bigger issue that we have here isn't about politics. What you've hit on is something that I do think is legitimate, which is that you're looking at what are the degrees of harassment. But here's the point. So when he came in, when he was coming up in the 80s, when women like me were coming up in the 80s and the 90s, there was unbelievably abusive behavior that we sort of, rolled our eyes or slapped their hands away. Yeah. And what we're seeing now, you do hear people say, oh, well, how bad is it? But you know what? The rules of the road have changed. We have, to the good, understood how harmful all of those kinds of behaviors are. Because, like I said, this sort of casual sexism, maybe it's not the physical abuse, but the casual sexism that plays itself out through society and through all of these issues is what ends up really harming women and preventing us from sort of, getting to the gender equality. And when you've got guys like Cuomo, people in positions of leadership who talk a really good game about equality for women and equality for people of color, but then you have these actions that sort of go in the face of it, it really, really diminishes the words that they're saying, and it really harms the cause of equality for all of us.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.